So, yet again, there's been another round of talks between CJP protesting students and ministers of the government, Mr. Nadda and Mr. Jitendra Singh. And yet, of the three demands that the students have made, the government seems to be open to at least two of those demands. But the central one is on the sacking or the resignation of the Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan. This has been going on for the better part of almost a month now. Something has to give, and neither side is willing to concede. Let me now go across for an opposition perspective on this. I'm joined by a very special guest here on Times Now. Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi is five-time member of Parliament, member of the CWC, eminent jurist, and of course, senior national spokesperson of the Congress Party. Dr. Singhvi, so after all of these multiple rounds of talks, Mr. Wangchuk has called off his fast, the students continue to protest in Jantar Mantar, and at the end of today's round of talks, they came out and said it boils down to a single point which the government is refusing to concede to, which is that Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, the education minister, should be sacked. The government's point is who should be in the cabinet or not in the cabinet should not be decided by the veto of street power.
Thank you, Zakka. Let me just step back a little bit. And I understand your question, but let me come to it just half a minute later. I see this as a part of a larger pattern. And please discount the fact that I'm also in the Congress Party, but I'm really trying to make it sound on principle correct. This is the principle of the politics of Zidd and Ego. You have seen it in the farmers' protest. It took over 18 months for the politics of Zidd and Ego to change or mildly change. You saw it in Manipur. Anybody with a blindfold could see that the principal protagonist of misgovernance and governance failure was the chief minister. When was he changed? After mayhem and destruction for months and months on end. You have seen it both in Ayodhya and NEET. The lowliest of lowly persons, the chaprasis and the drivers, are taken action against. But the moment you talk of ministerial responsibility, it is as if you're doing a crime in a democracy. I, with great respect, would say this is the intersection of infallibility with arrogance. And what has happened now is, this is not 1 month, Zakka. It has been going on for months. And the first demand, not the last demand, the first demand was this resignation. Now, do you see yourself as diminished? The 56-inch, big macho image gets affected if you agree to a demand. Ministers have resigned where there is pure moral responsibility. Here, the minister himself should have resigned. But even for that, he's very scared because if he doesn't take the permission of the big boss, there'll be action against him later. And the big boss must realize that this is something which is part of democratic accountability. I mean, it has now, of course, intersected with a much worse thing, I would say. The police brutality. Some parts, I'm very sorry to say, of the media kept showing a stray policeman being chased, but did not ever show large parts of lathi charge against students. Those pellets did not fall from heaven when that man showed the injuries. Directly false statements made by the police. And therefore, it is now that the government clearly is waking up. They are worried, they are concerned.
Okay.
But perhaps it is too little, too late. And let me tell you, this demand for the ministerial responsibility is the first demand. There is no point really engaging without this demand. And the only reason this is not being considered is the politics of Zidd, arrogance, etc.
So let me come to that central demand, which is the minister's resignation, right? Now, the BJP's contention is that if you ask a minister to resign on whatever grounds, and you're right, accountability should start at the top, there should be political accountability, but tomorrow somebody else can come and protest against ethanol and say Mr. Gadkari should step down. Somebody else should come and protest saying petrol prices are going up, Mr. Puri should step down.
Very valid question. Very well.
Where does this stop? Yeah.
Now, I would call this, I'm not saying you, I'm saying this kind of answer from the government benches is nothing but the worst form of whataboutery. Is the lowest form of even that whataboutery, which itself is per se bad. People don't eat grass. In a democracy, people have some brain, they understand. There has to be, first point, differences of degree make for differences of kind. You said the first point that how can the minister's appointment, which is the Prime Minister's prerogative, be decided by the Janta on the street? Is that a fair comment by the ruling party? Is there a Janta on the street demanding some minister's head? This is the NEET. It is part of the education ministry. It is not once, but multiple times, hundreds and thousands of students in diverse states, BJP ruled and non-BJP ruled. He's the minister in charge. So are these people mad that they are asking anybody's head off with your head like Shakespearean terms? And secondly, if there is another minister with the same degree of culpability and evidence of culpability, then he jolly well should go also. The UPA, and I believe some of them blameless, not all, but some of them blameless, even on a moral perspective, lost 7 of ministers on such demands. The irony, of course, is that many of them, in fact, almost all of them, not one single one was found criminally liable. I read the other day with amusement, Mr. Kalmadi, who died.
Yeah.
Entire thing acquitted. Not found any culpability. But they bowed to democratic accountability. Is this an answer from the government that this is not democratic accountability, but you are deciding the Prime Minister's cabinet from the streets?
Okay.
I mean, this is whataboutery in the worst form.
Let me come to what has been happening or not happening in Parliament. And you're obviously an esteemed member of Parliament. For the last 5 days, the first week of the monsoon session is pretty much washed out. And the government's contention is, and they've been saying, I think this from Wednesday or so, that look, we'll have a discussion on NEET. We will have a discussion entirely threadbare on all the issues that the opposition wants to raise on education. Only the Congress party is insistent that the minister should step down, and only then can we have a debate. Even today, Mr. Rahul Gandhi said, no discussion until resignation. Can that be a precondition for a discussion in Parliament?
Now, let us just step back and answer your question. This is not at all correct. This last sentence you said that we can have a discussion on everything but the minister is itself 2 days old. Yesterday it happened for the first time. All these months, all these weeks, all these days, there was no acceptance. None on any demand. Forget minister. We will not have discussion. You can come. This happened very late. You allowed the whole thing to build up. Secondly, you are in fact relegating the first demand to the last line. This demand, as I said, was the first demand. Thirdly, you could have done it before the Parliament session started and had a good session. But you've not done it in all your examples. You believe that the politics of Zidd shows your power. And you actually believe that elections legitimate and validate everything. An election validates and legitimizes everything which happens between one election and 5-year later election. This is the whole thinking process. Why should an education minister, faced with widespread protests from all over the country, from diverse sections, in fact, we meet everybody in Parliament, from large sections of the BJP itself, they say what is so special about him that he could not have been made to step down before the Parliament? Give me one reason.
Okay.
Only thing is Zidd, ego and arrogance.
Let me come to the larger question, which is that, okay, fine, you can find a political culpability and remove him or change his ministry or whatever, but the larger question of fixing the systemic problems in education, that's not going to go away just because a minister resigns. Now, over the last 3 or 4 days, including, let me start with the latest, the Prime Minister has announced a fast-track court. He's also sacked the Education Secretary. They have also now, this is what the CJP has said, they are positively considering the compensation for the victims and removing all the FIRs in the action that was taken against students over the last few days. Now, the government is saying, and there is also now talk that on Monday, when Parliament reconvenes, an amendment will be brought to this bill that deals with paper leaks, and it will be strengthened. There will be more stringent provisions. Now, the government is trying to address the systemic causes or the systemic reasons for these paper leaks and to try and fix them systemically. Whereas the opposition, particularly the Congress party and also the protesting students, seem to be fixated on just the person who is the minister.
No, wrong. Your own question gives the answer. Each of the 4 things you mentioned is a very painful, prolonged, and painstaking extraction by the brave students for the last several months. Were you able to make the statement you just made, Zakka, a few weeks ago, a few days ago, even day before yesterday? Yes, the government is now moving, but they are moving only when they find that the optics are not good. When they find, not because they're really concerned about students, but they're only concerned about the optics and the overall impression. Each of the 4, forget Mr. Pradhan for a minute. Each of the 4 points you made is as old as one day or today. And the last one has not even happened till Monday. We hope and trust it will happen is what the government is saying and what the others are saying. So first point is your own question demonstrates the efficacy of a Gandhian non-violent protest. Your own question demonstrates the necessity that the so-called systemic reform, at least the beginnings of the contours of that reform, have happened only because of these brave students. And please don't say politics comes everywhere. You know, if a political party or a public figure supports these students, it is not politics. Every right-minded, there are civil society, there are actors, there are eminent NGOs, there are politicians. Why should politicians be in a cupboard and not go and support them? You brush aside. Remember a few days ago, till day before yesterday or 2 days ago, the narrative being carried, and now the BJP spokespersons have been told to soften it, is it's a foreign hand. It's a destabilization because you want to paint the government and everything which is mother's milk in it bad. So these are all, we understand all this. The answer to your question is that there is movement now. It is only because of this very painful, long, prolonged, painstaking process. Okay. And lastly, some of these are nothing. I mean, I tweeted today that just saying a day ago, after like months, the Honorable Prime Minister late night, and that itself is a miracle, the Honorable Prime Minister late night issuing a statement about fast-track courts. I said, instead of saying too little, too late, it might be like giving a peanut to a legitimately hungry lion by the very person who has starved the lion. So these are all, political tactics. Let's do it from the heart. And I am fully with you on systemic change. Systemic change also, you had 12 years of your government. In that government time, we had whataboutery yesterday, in your channel, in fact. One person, an eminent person says, pellets are better than bullets. Another person said that prior to 2014, there were also NEET leaks here and there. I'm giving you what has happened right now in the last few days. Okay. Now, today, in these 12 years, NEET has exploded, not in one state, across India. Why does it happen recurringly? If you are doing some changes in 14 years, I can't do the change in these 14 years, I'm not in power. Then why is it recurring? Okay. And on this recurrence, the education minister is sacrosanct.
Okay, we'll see how this plays out. Like you said, it seems to be moving, but ultimately, I think it's stuck on that one point about the resignation of the minister. Whether or not that happens, we will wait and see. Thank you very much, Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, for joining us here on Times Now.